Hello students. In the previous two videos, we introduced you to the concept of a linear equation and about the fact that to solve for an unknown value, we need to do the order of operations in reverse order. So what we'll do in this video is actually solve some simple equations. Now before we do that, let's have a look at this balance, because I think of an equation as being like a balance. What's on the left-hand side of the balance has to equal what's on the right-hand side of the balance. Otherwise, it won't be balanced. It'll be unbalanced. So in this case, I've got two boxes, each of which weighs an unknown amount, plus 3 kilos on the left. On the right, I've got 5 kilos. So we can write this situation as a linear equation, 2 times x plus 3 equals 5. Now, in order to solve this, what I have to do is start to undo these operations. So for example, I'll take away 3 from the left-hand side. But if I'm going to take away 3 from that side, I also have to take away 3 from that side to keep the balance. So every time I solve an equation, whatever I do on the left-hand side, I have to do on the right-hand side. So I'm going to get rid of that and show you what I actually mean. So here I have an equation, y plus 4 equals 5. Okay, now you can probably do this one in your head, but you'll be coming across more complicated equations where you can't do them in your head. So what I want you to do is to do all the working please and not just solve them mentally. So you learn how to solve equations properly. So to start with, I think 4 is added on to y. I've got to undo that. So I have to subtract 4 from the left-hand side. To keep the balance, I also have to subtract 4 from the right-hand side. Now plus 4 minus 4 crosses out, and I'm left with just the y on the left, and 5 minus 4 is 1. So I think the answer is y equals 1. Let's do a quick check to see if that's correct. 1 plus 4 does equal 5, so we have found the correct answer. So one nice thing about solving equations is you can usually check the answers yourself just by substituting. Okay, what about this equation over here? Well, at the moment, p is divided by 3. And when I divide the number p by 3, I get 7 as my answer. I want to find out what value p is. Well, the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So if I multiply that side by 3 and that side by 3, again keeping the balance, do the same operation to both sides. I think p must be 21. Quick check, 21 divided 3 is 7, so that's correct. Okay, why don't you try to solve the next two equations on your own, but by using the that method of solving them, please, not just in your head. Okay, let's see how we went here. So the opposite of subtracting, oops, that was a mistake. Opposite of subtracting 4 is adding 4. So I add 4 to both sides. That cancels out, or probably more mathematically, negative 4 plus 4 is 0, and h plus 0 is just h. And it looks like h equals 9. Quick check, 9 minus 4 is 5, so that is the correct answer. And the last equation, the operation between the 4 and the g is multiply. The opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4. They cancel out. 4 divided by 4 equals 1, and 1 times g is g, and therefore g is 12 divided 4, g is 3. Quick check, 4 times 3 equals 12. Okay, moving on to a few more questions similar to this. This time we're going to be working with some negative numbers, but the method's the same. It's just that you got to remember how to add, subtract, multiply, divide with positive and negative numbers. Excuse me. So in this equation, we have y plus negative 2 equals 6. Now the opposite of adding negative 2, you could say it's subtracting negative 2, but I prefer to think of it as the opposite of adding negative 2 is adding 2. If you add -2 and then add 2, those cancel each other out, and I end up with y equals 8. Quick check, 8 plus -2 equals 6 is correct. So again, instead of adding -2, instead of writing down subtracting -2, that's the same as adding +2. Okay, second equation. In fact, why don't you try the next 3 and then get back and check your answers. Okay, let's see how you went. So the operation in here is multiply. To undo multiplying, I divide both sides by -3. And g equals -6 divided by -3, or negative divided by a negative gives a positive, so the answer is +2. Quick check, -3 times +2 is -6. Since a negative times a positive gives a negative. The opposite of subtracting 3 is adding 3. And again, to keep the balance, I do it to both sides of the equation. That leaves just an m on the left. And -7 plus 3 is -4. A quick check of that. -4 subtract 3 is -7, so that's correct. And the last equation, the operation in here is divide by -2. So the operation I'm going to do to both sides is to multiply by -2. -2 divide -2 is equal to 1, and 1 times y is just y. And 6 times -2 is -12. Quick check, -12 divide -2. Well, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 12 divided 2 is 6. So that's correct. So what we've done in this video is showing you how to solve what are called one-step linear equations by undoing the operation that's in the left-hand side of the equation.